So Lucifer is doubling down on his new lifestyle. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with episode 8 of Lucifer. So yeah, last time we had the entire hunt for the wings, and it ended up with them burning because Lucy just didn't want to deal with the fact that he was changing and that the wings were a sign of his self-perceived imprisonment, because it's clearly not like an actual imprisonment if he can escape, but he views it that way, and he doesn't want to think about the past. He doesn't want to think about the issues that came along with that. And he sees the wings now as a crutch, something that is keeping him connected to that, and something that he's been using to avoid moving on, which is technically true. He has been avoiding moving on from his past traumas. And it's really interesting the way that they're portraying this, considering he has, a therapist he goes to and everything, even if she is working with Amandiel. But yeah, it's really interesting that the entire thing with becoming a fallen angel and being sent down to hell and everything is being seen more as a trauma that he has to get over, more than as anything else, like some kind of divine punishment or something. It's a unique twist on this that you don't really see often. Has Been Hotel kind of did a similar thing to it, but ultimately took a different route. And I'm interested to see how far they go with this idea. Considering everything that this series is doing. On top of that, we have his work with Chloe still progressing, and there's definitely headway made on her big case, which is absolutely going to come into play as we continue forward. That's probably going to be how this season ends, I would wager, at least in terms of Chloe's story. But we'll have to see, I guess, to find out for sure. And even her ex is starting to help her a little more and starting to believe in her a little more now that some evidence has been found. It's going to be interesting to see what method Amendiel tries to employ next to get Lucifer to return to hell. And I'm still kind of wondering, is God ever going to actually show up in this series? Because God shows up in Supernatural and other various shows and movies that handle this kind of topic. Will God show up in this series, and what would they look like? What kind of portrayal would we give to that? I'd be very curious to see how that's done. But yeah, we're still just going through the second half of the season right now. We've only got a few episodes left after this. Like 4 or 5, I think. So we should probably just get into this and hope for the best. See what this episode has in store. But this isn't the only show on the channel to check out. If you are new to the channel, we have 2 show reactions every day, Monday through Friday. We are also currently doing a YouTube reaction series where we react to people's donation reward requests for YouTube videos on Mondays. On Wednesdays, we also currently have gaming content where we have been streaming Momodora Moonlit Farewell. However, we will soon be introducing in PS5 gameplay as well, because I recently got a PS5, so gonna be introducing that in pretty soon to the channel. And every Saturday and Sunday, we also have movie reactions. Those are also donation rewards, just as the YouTube stuff is, and they are pretty diverse in what we cover. We cover horror, action, comedy, animation, all kinds of stuff. And it's really interesting to see some of the stuff we end up getting to. So, that all being said, we have a big amount of stuff, always changing, always something for everyone to get into. Check it out if you have the time. But for now, we are going to move on with Lucifer. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Of all the great music in this series, Mystery Skulls is not one that I would have expected. Hellbent is a fantastic song, and like, it makes sense. It absolutely is a logical choice for this series. It's just, didn't expect it. It's just one of those songs that I feel like I know more for internet culture and, you know, Mystery Skulls, the videos by Mystery Ben and everything. The animation videos on YouTube. Like, I feel like that's where most of my Mystery Skulls, not just knowledge, but experience has come from. Whenever I hear people talking about Mystery Skulls, it's usually from that. So to hear his music in Lucifer is wild to me. But very welcome. Really good song. Anyways, so the Palmetto case is technically solved, but also not. But we know the truth of what the actual sitch is. Malcolm is the dirty cop. Like, it is really that simple. It's not what we were kind of led to believe, the idea that, oh, maybe he wasn't, and everything. It's the episode kind of leads you to think that, oh, maybe Malcolm wasn't the bad guy. Maybe it was this other cop. Or at the very least, there was another cop who was following and everything. And throughout the episode, and I'll get to the other half of the plot of this episode in a bit, but throughout the episode, we're kind of led in the direction that we've already been going. Like, there's this other cop that, you know, is the one who shot him, and they're trying to track him down, and we're led to believe it's Palucci, because everything points at Palucci. Like, even the show itself, like, outside of, like, the clues and hints and everything, the show itself made a point of focusing on Palucci when they were talking about the other cop that would have been there. So it's like, even the show itself was framing you to believe it was Palucci. But then they're trying to track him down because they're starting to put together that Palucci's the prime suspect. And that's when they find him apparently having committed suicide in the bar. And the instant you see that, it'll kind of like changes your entire perspective, because it's like, that's too easy. That just doesn't seem right. If he were really the bad guy in all of this. And if there was this guilt that suddenly would have manifested, why wouldn't it have manifested earlier, like when they were going to pull the plug on Malcolm? Why suddenly now that Malcolm is, miraculously alive again? That doesn't really track, I feel. It feels too convenient. And so I was starting to question that. And I'm thinking in my head while watching, it's like, could he have somehow faked his death? No, because Chloe wouldn't be in on that, and she would be able to tell that he was dead. So I'm thinking at that point, okay, someone else was framing Palucci, making it seem like Palucci would be it. So I'm starting to think like to maybe some of the other cops that we've met briefly. And in the end, it's just Malcolm. He just faked. He killed Palucci, faked the suicide note, faked the entire suicide situation. And the truth is, the cop that shot him, the cop that was following him outside of Chloe, was Dan. And for some reason, Dan doesn't want Chloe or anyone else to know this. Because maybe it's just because of he'll be seen as suspicious or whatnot. I think that he was probably just doing what Chloe was doing. Just tracking down the situation, trying to figure out what was going on, and ended up tracking down Malcolm to there. And they just both happened to be there, him and Chloe, at the same time. So it's not that there was another dirty cop. There wasn't. Dan was just doing exactly what Chloe was doing. But knowing Chloe, I feel worried that she's going to think he's dirty. And that this is going to, like, irreparably destroy what's left of their relationship. Which he doesn't want. Because he's genuinely trying to mend that. And kind of succeeding. So I definitely don't think Dan is a bad guy here. Malcolm is the bad guy. And now he's blackmailing Dan, which kind of proves it. I just didn't see that coming, and I kind of feel like it should have been an obvious idea, at least. It just feels like kind of where it would have gone. Now, Lucifer ending his entire situation with Mazikeen at the end. And yes, I'm waiting to get to the rest of the stuff with the therapist situation in this episode. I'll get to it, don't worry. I'm talking about the other stuff first. This is interesting, because now that he's found out that Maz is the one who hired, or not hired, but worked with Amendiel to, convince Linda to handle things differently. He's upset at that because Maz is supposed to have his back, and he felt this was a massive betrayal. And honestly, it was. It absolutely was. So because of that, he's choosing to break away his connection with her. What does this mean? Because Mazikeen is not a servant, but a follower of him. She's one of Lucifer's followers who is literally there to protect and serve him. If he, drops her from his guard, I guess you could say, what is she going to do? Is she going to still try to protect him? Still try to do what she's been doing? Or is she going to go back to hell? I feel like that would make more sense, right? Because it feels like if she's no longer going to be protecting him, then she has no business here in LA. But if she chooses to protect him now, just continue to protect him against his will, in her eyes, protect him, continue to do what she's doing to try and, work with Amenadiel to get him to go back to hell, can she just do that? Like, he's Lucifer. He can do what he wants, comes to Earth as he will, but if she's not like with him, can she just remain here and choose to do this all? Maybe if she's like with Amenadiel now, maybe that kind of solves that issue. I don't know. I don't know how like all of the rules surrounding the angels and demons and stuff work. So I'm curious if they're gonna touch on that. But let's talk about the case of the week, I guess you could say. And this time we have another therapist who was killed. A therapist who specifically dealt with quote unquote cheating therapy or open relationship therapy, whatever you want to actually call it. Like I said in the reaction, this is a real thing. And I took that bit out of the reaction, paused it to discuss this because, like I said, if handled in a consensual, healthy way, it can be great. It can genuinely help people. But all parties need to understand what's going on and need to consent. That is integral. But at the same time, if that's not the case, then there's issue. It seems like that was the case here though. And it seems like almost all of his patients, if not like practically all of them, were actually happy with the results. That it actually did help them. Um in the end, it was actually another doctor who killed him. And not even necessarily because of the therapy, because he was with his wife Sandy and he cheated on her, but she chose to remain with him because she still loved him and wanted to continue to give him another chance and everything. But this other therapist also likes Sandy. And so the fact that Sandy was cheated on and the fact that she still stayed with this guy is what pissed him off. And that's why he killed the doctor. Because he felt like Sandy deserved better. It was literally just a jealousy thing, which was obviously a main main plot point, a main theme of this episode, with Lucifer kind of realizing his jealousy but continuously denying it because he does that. So yeah, it's like as the case of the week, it was okay. It was cool to see Linda helping out with it, but it wasn't like the best or most interesting case that we've had. It very much felt like it was taking like the back seat to the Palmetto case stuff. That felt like just much bigger of a thing. Like when Malcolm broke into Chloe's house and everything, like she was absolutely fucking right to like grab at her gun like that and be on edge. Like no matter whether she believed he did it or not. It's like you break into someone's house to meet them under false pretenses. Yeah, I would have my hand on my gun too. I would be fucking terrified. I would be ready to shoot your ass. Because it's like, that is scary. Again, under false pretenses, and the fact that he broke into her house. It's like, that's concerning. She had every right to do what she did there. And That's even before we know that he really is, the bad guy here. And it's really interesting to me, too. I also want to touch on the fact that, you know, this is Amendiel's fault. Like, Amendiel is the one who healed him. He literally healed this dirty cop who's now threatening people, blackmailing them, is an active threat to people's lives. It's like, my God. Amenadiel, when he finds that out, like, he's probably going to be quite upset with himself, to say the least. I would not be surprised if it actually really affected him. And maybe that's gonna lead to him working with Lucifer and Chloe and them to like put an end to this all. That would be interesting. That could be how this season ends, because I thought this season was going to end with like the Palmetto case and everything kind of being solved, but again, it kind of already was. But it's still leading into that being kind of the big storyline, the big ongoing thing for Chloe's side of things for this season. So I think that's still where it's going to end, just in a different way than was expected initially. So, yeah, just a lot going on here, and I'm very interested to see where this continues to go. Let me see. Yeah, we have 5 episodes left after this, 9 through 13, and we're probably still going to get quite a bit of the case of the week stuff, but there's a lot of plot relevant shit that has been brought up now. And I'm just wondering where it's going to go. Like, how's Lucifer going to handle the therapy sessions from now on, considering he knows that they've been, messed with by his brother and by Maze? Not to mention, there's the entire aspect of the breakthroughs and the fact that Linda is no longer going to be having sex with him. So how's he going to handle all of that now? What's going to go on with that? We have the Palmetto case stuff that's got to be continuing, especially with the fact that we know Dan is hiding shit now. Although, again, I still stand by that. I don't think he's even a bad guy at all in this. He was probably just doing what Chloe herself was doing. We have just so many breadcrumbs set up, even with just Maze now being, no longer quote unquote employed by Lucifer. There's so much that's being set up here, and it's very interesting to see how it's like really connecting. I don't know how this is going to end. But I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. For the time being, though, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Lucifer? If there's anything I missed or whatnot, feel free to tell me. Just no spoilers, as always. And a reminder that this isn't the only thing that we react to each week. Every weekday, Monday through Friday, we do 2 shows per day. And on Mondays, we also do YouTube reactions. Every Wednesday, we also do gaming content. Currently, we have been live streaming Momodora Moonlit Farewell. But once we finish that up, maybe even a little before, pretty soon, we'll be starting on some PS5 content. We also have movies every Saturday and Sunday, and various other things that come onto the channel just periodically as I get to them. But yeah, so tell me once again in the comments what you thought of this episode, and for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.